ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Fleming. I'm the host of the Daily Fix Show on the Fantasy and Frames podcast with my co-host, Joe the Brain Matz, as well as the director of DFS content for Fantasy and Frames. I'm here to talk about the game that everybody will be watching this weekend, and I hope you're as excited as I am about. That's the Bengals versus Chiefs game. What I'm going to do, though, is give you a lineup for the Captains Showdown on DK for this Chiefs-Bengals game. I mean, this could be the next Brady Manning deal, right? We've got back-to-back AFC Championships with Burrow versus Mahomes. Both of those guys are still young. I'm ready to get into this. But first, I do want to ask everybody, if you're watching this video, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel. Not only will you find DFS videos like this one from your boy, me, but also after the Super Bowl, we will be doing rookie profiles that will be going up. It is a litany, and I mean a litany. I've seen the list of players that we are going to preview, so you will be ready for the draft in April. But let's get into what we're here for, to hopefully win some money in this AFC Championship with a Captains Showdown lineup. This is a game that I think it comes down to this for your captain. You either need to have Jamar Chase or Travis Kelce. And the reason for that is if you look at it, Mahomes is banged up. I mean, we don't know the extent, but he's definitely going to be limited. He's not going to be able to move around like he normally does. That's going to really limit, I think, especially their down the field passing. And the Bengals have already, in the last three matchups, just basically dropped everybody back and tried to make Mahomes be patient anyway. So I think that he's not going to have a huge game. Burrow, same deal. I think Burrow is amazing. He's, maybe the best QB in football right now. But let's not forget, he's missing half of his starting lineup at the offensive line. So I'm not saying they're not going to have good games. I just think it's more likely that Kelce and Chase, who both have just unbelievable resumes in the playoffs, especially on DK. Look at their points per game to where you got to pick one of them. But I'm going with Chase here. He's 15,600 if you end up putting him, at your captain. I just think his floor is 15 to 20 points. Same deal for Kelce. And we both know that they are capable of having monster games. I mean, Chase had 58 points versus this Kansas City team last year. This is really all about KC is 31st in DVOA versus number one receivers. That is not good. And Jamar Chase is arguably the best number one receiver in football, especially when you think about his connection with Joe Burrow going all the way back to college. So Chase averaging 30 points per game in his three games versus KC for his career, and at least 16.7 points in all three. Again, I think that's kind of his floor, is that 15 to 20 point range. All right. Next up, give me T. Higgins, 8,400. This is kind of insurance just in case KC throws a kitchen sink at Chase. And they might do that. They might say that we're going to take away Chase. We don't care if it takes 2-3 defenders, beat us somewhere else. I think that would be a mistake because we've seen T. Higgins as a number one receiver on probably 95% of the rosters in the NFL. He won us a bunch of money. And our first ever Daily Fix episode last Super Bowl, when we made him our captain's pick, he had a monster game. So he has a special place in my heart for that, obviously. But I do like stacking Higgins and Chase because, again, I think that Burrow is going to throw for 250, 300 yards, but I think it's going to be a lot of short passes. And those are his two favorite targets. So that's my first two plays. Give me Hayden Hurst, 5,200. 4 more receptions in 3 straight. He's seen 6 targets in both the playoff games. The big deal for me, 5 red zone targets in the last 3 games. He didn't have 5 red zone targets in the previous 8. So they're starting to look to him more. A lot of that is he's got a 98.2% true catch rate. He is one of the most reliable guys in the league. Burrow knows if he can just get a good pass to him, he's going to catch it. And then KC is 15th on DK versus tight ends. But that's really from early in the season. If you look, they have really struggled as of late. Over their last 6, they're allowing tight ends 6.5 receptions per, at least 5 and 5 of 6, 53 yards per game, 40 plus and 4 of 6, at least 30 yards in each game, 4 touchdowns in that span. I think Hurst either scores a touchdown or has 4+ receptions, 40, 50 yards. I think he's a really good play, especially for one of the cheaper options we got in the slate. Travis Kelce, as I said, it should either be Chase or Kelce as your captain. There's no way in hell I'm going to do like my co-host Joe Matz did and leave him out of any of my lineups. I had to mess with him. I'm sorry, Joe. You can't do that. It was a horrible, horrible decision by one of the smartest guys I know. Kelce's 11,000. I spoke about on the Daily Fix last week. Just Kelce's unreal playoff numbers the last 2 years. And then he went out and had 14 catches, 98 yards, and 2 scores over his last 7 playoff games. This is just absurd. 9.7 receptions per, 8+ in 6 of 7, 108 yards per game receiving, 90+ in all 7, 8 touchdowns. He scored in 6 of 7, averaging 28.97 points on DK over a 7-game stretch, which is outrageous. Scored 24 or more on DK in 6 of 7. And oh, by the way, in the one he did, he scored 23.6 points. Travis Kelce is literally a human cheat code, so I am not leaving him out for any reason. So the flyer in this lineup for me is Samaje Perine, 4,600. He had a really good game versus KC the first time they played. Now, granted, Mixon was out, but he had 120 yards and a score. He still saw 12 touches last week, so they're still getting him involved. He played 45% of the snaps in both playoff games, at least 45. He actually played 47 in the first one. He has 7 games with 5 or more rush attempts, 8 games with 4 or more targets. And I just like him more than the other guys in this price range, particularly Boyd, who I can't play 4 receiving options. I like the Bengals to win this game. I like Burrow this week, but not that much. And then I'm going to go Kadarius Toney, 4,800. He scored 7.8 points or more in 4 straight, double digit in 3 straight. Really saw a bump last week. You can tell they made it a priority to get him the ball. He had a season-high 7 targets. And also saw 6 touches because he had the rush, 5 receptions. So I just think that he is probably the guy on Kansas City, especially if Mahomes is limited outside of Kelce, that can do the most, because anybody who has watched Toney, he is so explosive. Even if Mahomes is not able to move around and can't throw the ball way down the field, you can throw a 5-yard pass to Toney and turn it into a 50-yard touchdown at any time. I actually think Mahomes being banged up ups his value in this game. That's a total of 49,600. I do want to add the caveat that if Mecole Hardman ends up playing in this game, I would swap him for Toney and then put Mixon in for Higgins. I just think that in that manner, Hardman had such a great season going. He got injured. We know he's been arguably Mahomes' favorite target this year for KC. I know he's going to be banged up if he plays, but I think if he plays, he's going to play. You know what I mean? They wouldn't put him in the game if they think it's going to hurt the team, and I think he'll be a focal point of it. And I think he'll be low owned because people will be leery about that. So I would make that adjustment. So again, that is my captain's mode lineup for the AFC title game. Again, we'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to the Fantasy and Frames YouTube channel. If you would be sure to subscribe to the Fantasy and Frames podcast. Check out the Daily Fix Show. That's my personal favorite. That's the show with me and Joe Matz. And check out the Daily Fix Show's Twitter, which is at the Daily Fix Show. I hope you guys make a lot of money this week and enjoy it, because sadly, we're down to just 3 football games in the season. But don't you worry, Fantasy and Frames will have plenty of content for you in the off season, including talking about best ball drafts, Dynasty, and then we'll get in those rookie profiles. So we got you covered. Don't worry about it. But good luck, everyone, this weekend. We'll see you soon.